The Trades Union Congress appealing to the President, John Dramani Mahama, to stop the mass sacking of public sector workers and grant them amnesty. Now, the precise words they use in there, this will be the greatest political settlement of the Fourth Republic. It will ripple in eternity and reset the politics of Ghana. But what exactly has the TUC been saying apart from this? They have a statement that we're going to bring to you shortly, giving you details of what they've been saying, and then you can call that number 0302-211-691 and express your thoughts on these two issues. So, in that statement dated the 25th of February 2025, they talk about the directive by the Chief of Staff, Honorable Julius Debra. We already know what went into that statement. And then they say on the basis of this, the Chief of Staff proceeded to ask heads of government institutions to take necessary steps to annul any such appointments. Following the directive, we have received reports of mass revocation of appointments. Now, the main thrust of this, the TUC has closely monitored the spirited public discourse on the appropriateness or otherwise of the directive. If we go to the next slide, you will see what the statement continues to say from there. So if you go to point 5, then it says, we find the directive by the Chief of Staff very problematic, to say the least. Not only is the directive open to abuse, but we find it extremely difficult to understand how government could describe all appointments or recruitments made after 7th December 2024 as not in compliance with good governance practices and principles. It goes on and on, but that is the thrust of the discussion. So they are calling for the recurring practice of the MPP coming in and sacking people, the NDC coming in and sacking people, to end. But what do you think about it? 0302-211-691. Two-pronged issues. We have a call on the line. Hello, good morning. Hamza, I hear you're calling from Ashaiman.
Yeah, good morning, Ben.
Good morning, sir.
Oh, you're welcome. I've been asking of you in your absence from Sweetie and
from Kojo. Well, thank you so much for checking on me. What are your thoughts for us this morning, sir?
The TUC should bear with the government. You know, the previous administration created a big hole, a big mess in our finances. So they should bear with the government. You can't just employ somebody. You know, it's just a burden to this current government. So we are pleading with the TUC to bear with the government. The government explained that in future, when things are okay, they will open up the portal for them to reapply. So they should also bear with the government. There's a big financing gap that we need to, so they should bear with the government. I will plead with them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You can still call and share your thoughts on these issues we've been dilating on the show. 0302-211-691. Hamza called from Ashaiman. What are your thoughts? And I'd like to hear from people as well, not just on the TUC issue, but if you know people in your community who are abusing some of these drugs, and what you think can be done about the situation on the back of those developments. If you know any pharmacy, don't mention the name, but if you think there are pharmacies, you can give us tip-offs, you can send in messages. We have Richard calling from Accra. Hello, good morning, Richard.
Yeah, good morning, my brother. How are you?
I am well, please. How about you?
Fine. Please, I would like to share my view on the discussion made on the revocation of the employees. You see, the UTC should rather, I think the UTC should rather praise His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Why am I saying this? The government of the day who was going out makes this employment. Once you don't have budget for them, do you want these people to come to the public sector to be stranded and at the end of the day use guns and misbehave towards the society? Before you do employment, you must have a budget for them. My brother, I had the opportunity to speak to one high personnel, security personnel. There are people who were recruited they didn't even serve at the training center. There are people recruited, they don't have even certificates. Do you know the intention behind the last-minute recruitment? So I think that TUC, the Peace Council, and all the prominent people in this country should join President Mahama to clean the system. You see, the outgoing president, Nana-Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has aroused the expectations of the youth. And the youth didn't see it like that. So there are a lot of, the youth are peeved. And yeah, the youth to follow emu. My brother. So, sir, recruitment, now why you know before going, I have fucked up. And I thank the NDC so much. I thank the NDC so much for that revocation. Because we...
Okay. Those are some interesting thoughts he was sharing there. Let us also bring in Dr. Trinebo Akodia. He's Vice President of the TUC. He joins the conversation. Dr. Akodia, good morning, sir.
Good morning, my brother. Please, how are you doing?
I am well, please. I hope you are too.
I'm also well, thank you.
All right. It appears from the calls that we've got so far that some people feel these mass dismissals should actually take place. But on which grounds does the TUC want the president to stop these mass sackings?
Okay. Thank you once again for the opportunity. Let me say that the statement from the Chief of Staff, the way it came, that blanket statement for us is the problem. We appreciate the difficulties that warranted that blanket statement. We know there's been recruitment into the public service without due process. We are also aware that some of these appointees came in and were promoted unduly. We are aware that some don't even have the requisite qualification to be placed where they've been placed. And then we're also aware that some of these appointments violated the CBAs and HR policies of this public institution. So that we recognize are the flaws that have happened, and we condemn that, and we cannot let that stand. We believe that that should be corrected. But in the process of correction, we should also recognize that there are some category of Ghanaian youth who have applied for employment, have gone through the process, have been assessed, and duly recruited. And so if we are asking for revocation, we should try and categorize which ones fell below the process or the procedure, and which ones are duly legit. And so the blanket statement that came is the problem. And we are asking that it should be halted and then possibly audited to see which ones fell within in quote, the blanket and the political appointment, and which ones also were legit. But let me also ask.
But Doc, quick question, lest I forget. Okay. Is it not also going to be very difficult looking at the fact that so many were brought in at the dying embers of the last administration to find out which ones were legitimate, which ones were not, who came in on a purely meritorious basis and who came in on a political basis? Isn't it going to be very tricky for this administration to say we're going to sift through like this? How long will that take?
I feel that the data is there. All the institutions where these people were employed. I mean, I also work in the public space, so the data is there. It won't take less than 1 week for the CEOs or the HR of this institution to give this information. And so, to some extent, we believe that we must halt this cycle of last-minute recruitment and appointment. That must, and TUT wants to champion that to an end. But in the process, let's also recognize that if we give amnesty for this to happen, then we are indirectly trying to perpetuate the wrong that has happened. And these are things that can hurt public service. So yes, let's clean the system, but let's not make it that general blanket holistic revocation. Some duly qualified to be employed, and we have no issues with that. But we also recognize that others have come into the public space mainly because they are politicians and have been placed at wrong places, which can hurt public service. We want productivity in our public service space. We want qualified people to lead the public service. If you have the requisite qualification and you deserve to be employed, so be it. But not through partisan route, which we condemn. And so for us, we are clear that there should be some correction in this whole issue, and not try to, as it were, just also deny people who have duly qualified to be employed to be out.
If the president does not comply, would you take it as a slight? In fact, in your statement, you reference 2016 and what he said at the time interacting with Christian groupings that, look, I'm still president. He brought in the Shraj boss. But it was few and far between. A few people came in. In this instance, there were quite some numbers. But would you feel slighted if the president went ahead with this directive, at least per the chief of staff?
No, I wouldn't use the word slighted.
Would you be disappointed? Would you be disappointed?
No, we believe the president in the working relationship we've had with the presidency, they will listen and we will also help guide for the right things to be done. We are looking into the future. Okay. We don't want this trend to continue. At the same time, there are millions of Ghanaians at home who want to be employed, and so we must marry the two. The political system should not destroy public service. At the same time, those who duly qualify to be employed are employed. So we will not be disappointed. We are very confident that the presidency will listen, and then together we will see how we can clean the system and get the right people who deserve to be employed.
Thank you, Dr. Chunebo Akodia, for joining the conversation. We're very grateful for your time, sir.